After that happened with my friends, I started feeling like I was the only person in the world and there was nobody else and nobody else cared and that I was lonely. I was really lonely and I always felt alone, and for some reason my parents didn't do anything for that for me. It was, I don't know why. I guess my priorities were just set on friendships, and what I looked like to other people. And so when I lost that, the only thing that I was holding on to, my whole world just fell apart, and I felt all alone. So I drank, and I met up with the one friend that did stick with me, and it ended up the one friend that did stick with me let me hurt my father, and I would trade him for all the friends who left me any day. And after that night, after I went to juvie for the first time, I came back, and it was sad. It was really sad, and I was trying. I didn't want to do that again, but eventually I hadn't made any changes in juvie. It just it was like I was paused for a little bit, and I just went back to the same way I was, and even worse. It was a while though. I did good for a while, but then you can only fake something for so long, and then you just give up. And when you're faking something for that long and then you give up and just hit rock bottom. And that's what I did, and I ran away. And the reason I ran away was because everybody in my school thought I was weird because I didn't talk to anybody, because I felt that everybody else was weird. And I didn't want to talk to a bunch of preppy people because I was going to private school, and I didn't like anybody there, so I wouldn't talk to anybody. They thought I was a loser because I was always alone, and so I finally just gave up, and I was tired of being lonely, so I started getting with the friends that I was hanging out with that before, that were using drugs, and I ran away. I was gone for 4 or 5 days, something like that, and I slept on the streets. I slept, I don't know where, under a tree or something one night, because I couldn't find anywhere to stay. And the other 2 nights I slept at one of my friend's house. And after I went home, my parents sent me to SEUS, the wilderness program, and I went there, and there I learned about finding myself and how important that is. But that's all I learned. I didn't learn about anything that would help me with my family. I didn't learn about appreciating things. I certainly didn't learn about planning for the future. All I learned about was just exploring who I was, and that can be taken in the wrong way. You can take that in exploring drugs to try to find yourself, or you can take that in, there's a bunch of ways you can take that. That wasn't a good thing for me to learn at that time. Came back from wilderness camp, and I snuck out, and I went back to doing the same stuff that I was doing before. And so I went to youth home, and there I didn't learn anything. I learned a few things with my parents, but they didn't teach me anything. They didn't teach me any values or anything like that. The therapist there did teach me a few things, but I didn't remember them. I don't remember them. They didn't hit any notes. then I got out of there because I did really good. I went through the program. I was doing some good things, but I wasn't making any changes. And I got back, and almost immediately I went back to the same way I was before, and worse. I started getting into music not because I liked the style of music, but because my friends liked it. And I started making it, and then after a while it started growing on me, and that was the music that I liked, and that's why I did it. But music is a complicated thing to be in because there's a lot of drugs going around everywhere, and all the people who listen to the type of music that I made, they were all doing drugs, worse drugs than I was doing before. And I was doing those with them because I was creator of this music, this feeling, and they were doing it, so why wouldn't I do it? Like, I'm trying to create the same thing, like the same feeling. And so I hit rock bottom again. I went to a park one day and I was drunk, and a police officer came and saw us, and a park ranger, and started talking to us, and I just pretty much cussed her out, and I was extremely rude, and I was so drunk that I thought I was being nice. I got handcuffed, and I lied about my name. I lied about every bit of information about myself, and a few days later, I came home. And I was on shrooms, and my parents knew something was up. And the next day, the park ranger called and told my mom about it, and that's when I left to come here. And the first day I got here, I was in the worst mood. I was angry. I hated my parents for sending me here. I thought it was going to be horrifying. I thought 4 months in youth home was the worst experience of my life, and I'm probably staying twice as long here, 3 times as long here, and it's just not going to be good. I didn't think I would be able to do it. I was telling myself I'm not going to be able to do this. The only way I'm going to be able to do it is if I just sleep through it, or just somehow just slug through it and not pay attention to anything. I thought there was no way that I could be actually like in what was going on all the time for that long here. And after about a week, I started figuring out kind of what this place was about and what they kind of did here. And I figured out that for me, the main thing that I learned, like they were teaching, the main thing that I saw that they were teaching was how to appreciate things. Because we don't get a whole lot of freedoms here. We don't get a whole lot of material. We don't get a whole lot of stuff unless we really earn it, like really earn it. After about a couple weeks here, I started writing letters home about how good I felt, and I didn't know why. I didn't really know why. And I just felt the happiest that I've been in probably 4 years. And it wasn't just like feeling good, like for a little bit and then going back to kind of feeling down. It was just this constant like happiness that just came over me, and I didn't know what it was. I didn't know how it got there. I didn't know why I was feeling it. And then after about a month here, I kind of figured out it was because I was appreciating the little things, and that's what they were teaching me here, was to appreciate the little things to the fullest you could. And even though I didn't have that much here, everything that I did have, I was squeezing everything I could out of it, and it made me happy to know that I had all this stuff. I had all that I needed and a little bit more. And then I started to get going on my grades, and the teachers helped me to get on the A/B honor roll, when before I was on C and D roll, and I don't know how that happened. I got myself together. Being here has helped me to realize my priorities and to realize what's important in my life. After a while of being here, I was thinking, and I kind of thought about my parents, and I never really viewed them as real people before I came here. I just viewed them as just like authority that was over me. And well, I mean, in the last 4 years, I haven't. And then all of a sudden, I was thinking, and I thought about having a son, and just like being there when he was born, and just like holding him and just caring for him. And like, I thought about him growing up, and I thought about him being the only thing in my world, and then him growing up to yell at me and then hit me, even though I was still trying to do everything for him. And I thought about that, and I thought about how I would feel. I thought about what that would really be like, and it kind of just opened up this entire different way of thinking for me, and I started to view other people as other people like me. Kind of realized that the reason why I was so content is because I had balance, and I was working hard, and I was on a plane, and I was growing in both those areas, and I was also growing in knowledge, and I was growing in my wisdom, I was growing spiritually, and the reason why I was growing in all these areas is because of the structure that's here, and because it's set up so that kids can't do that if they want to, if they really try to. They're not going to if they don't want to, but they are if they want to, and it's really, this is the best place to do that. I've never experienced anything like this before. Even when I go home on my visits and the structure is sort of dropped, I feel sort of like it's going back to the way it was before. Not entirely, not as strong, not nearly as strong as it was before, but just a little hint. I can taste it because the structure dropped. And that's what it is. It's structure. Structure is the key. And I figured out that that's what I need to set for myself when I go back home for good, so that I'll never go back to the way I was before. I need to have a structure. That's the only way to be content. That's the only way that I can possibly stay out of places like this. After being here, I realized that my plans for the future are to either go to a music college, actually to definitely go to a music college, but to either go into music business or go into the music industry, recording, or engineering, or anything like that. That would be amazing. I would love to do that. And the way I'm going to do that is to get good grades here, do my best here, and graduate, and then get into that college, hopefully, and just work my hardest, keep my structure and work my hardest